Today's episode is with Braydon. He lives in the town nearby. I've actually bumped into him a bunch of times over the years, but this is the first time we got to sit down, have a little bit of conversation. It's just nice getting to know the guy. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Kind of jump all over the place, but it's just a little bit of a genuine talk between two people getting to know each other. One is splitting.
Oh, splitting the atom versus
Combining them together. Combining together, so that must be fusion. Sounds about right.
I think it's fusion.
Okay.
Because we're taking the uranium and bringing it, well, we just get it into its metal dust.
Okay.
And then ship it off somewhere else to be refined.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I play in these mines so much, I had no idea. I was imagining rocks and then they ship. So the product is a dust.
Yeah, so the product gets, and you can look this up online for learn the process or whatever, but you get it off of the sandstone ore. You wash it.
Okay.
And then through a series of combining it with this and then uncombining it using that to get specifically down to the
That's where we get
part
the tailing ponds from, right?
Yeah, and then the tailing ponds are what's left, and that's an entirely closed process.
Okay.
Because, in order for the mill to operate properly, it has to have zero impact on the environment, and so the tailings stay in that closed process, and they end up in a place like deep underground.
Okay.
Where it doesn't give off anything more than the environment would give off, and it's casually checked on and looked after, monitored.
Gotcha.
Once in a while.
Because the new one, the one they're trying to work on, apparently that what's that? The half-life on the current type of like the used fuel cells and everything. Like, it's forever, basically. But with the new one, I think it's, like, something incredible, like decades. And then it's not friggin'...
Yeah, they can not only just use it, they can
reuse
use it several times
yeah,
over,
yeah.
from what I heard.
See, that's the cool thing.
Yeah.
But on the Green River, there's not enough water in that Green River.
Yeah.
That's why I'm against that one.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. And I swim there.
Yeah, and well, we also keep track of like the underground water. We sample it and make sure that it's not affected in any way as well.
Do you think, so say you had a piece of radioactive uranium, that's reading, like on my porch I got a whole bunch of pieces.
Sure.
And to me, everyone has their own thoughts. I don't think the science is there, but some people are worried about it. They stay away, they put masks on. But I think a little bit of radiation every day is a good thing.
Well, I mean, there's radiation everywhere. Like, the sun is giving us a constant dose.
And that's my theory, because we evolved or came to be with radiation.
Yeah, it's all of the efforts we've made to avoid it that I think have caused a lot of health problems, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of that scare comes from two things. One, entertainment. Godzilla was a huge hit, and it was all about like the fallout causing monsters to come fire breathe on Tokyo and all that stuff. And that was a big. It wasn't just Godzilla. That was a big like dystopian fantasies were a thing for a while. Vampires were a thing for a while. Back then, it was nuclear fallout.
It's kind of like reefer madness.
Yeah.
You know, like you're gonna go crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. What's the number two?
And then the number two was uncertainty in lawsuits.
Okay.
There were a lot of underground miners that were showing up with lung cancer. This was before smoking was shown to have caused lung cancer, and they were all smokers underground. So
okay.
A ton of miners were getting lung cancer, and they were smoking way more than most people would.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the correlation, was if you were a miner in that enclosed space,
Yeah.
and it must have been the exposure or something.
Well, but then you have freak cases. Like, do you know Charlie Steen? Or have you heard of him?
Mm-mm.
He's the Moab uranium guy, the one that did the boom there back in the day. And there's that Sunset Grill or whatever that used to be his mansion when he got rich and everything. So I have a friend that's friends with his son. And his son's, I don't know for sure, 60s, 70s or something.
Right.
He grew up on tailings piles,
Yeah.
naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever age he is, 60, 70, whatever, he's running around, climbing mountains, he smokes, I'm pretty sure, too. And he's just perfectly friggin' fine.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of like uncertainty that's involved with it. There's no legitimate proof that any of it is any of a danger.
You think what's worse, this or uranium?
I mean, to congest?
Yeah. Well,
uranium.
Okay, yeah.
What's worse, this or lead?
Yeah. But I feel like having a block of uranium on my porch and whatever that's doing to me versus this crap or whatever. I think the moral of that is I think our environment, what we put in us, is far more hazardous
Sure.
than whatever uranium has to offer.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the sugars and stuff in there probably go through more refinement than...
Right. A more complicated process.
More complicated
probably.
process.
Yep. Well, half the ingredients are petroleum and plastic.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah, especially that yellow... What is it? Yellow 5?
Yellow 5 Lake or
basically
whatever.
Sulfur.
It's all supposed to go away, though, right?
Yeah.
Just believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Pepsi or Frito-Lay announced that they were going to get ahead of the game and actually cut out all those synthetic ingredients before that political announcement was made. So
Well,
they jumped up on the PR and tried to make it look good.
Taking advantage.
Yeah.
I don't eat Fruit Loops, but when the Fruit Loops come out that aren't all crazy colored, I'm going to buy a box.
We'll see how it goes. I'll bet it tastes more like it used to.
Yeah, it's all crazy stuff.
Yeah. I also remember when Pepsi took aspartame out of their like diet products.
That was that's a sweetener, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's basically rat poison.
Yeah.
But I actually I was in South Carolina for a year, and I knew a guy who lived by Diet Pepsi. He would drink like 2 a day.
Damn.
1 in the morning and 1 in the evening, and he ended up getting hospitalized for aspartame poisoning.
Really?
Yeah, and cases were starting to pop up like that with, because we didn't have, these like chain cola drinkers that were
okay. It's still kind of fresh.
Yeah, so people who are getting more and more comfortable with just drinking soda constantly were ending up in the hospital because they had high levels of aspartame that were knocking them out.
It's just funny because it was sugar. Sugar's bad. Do the aspartame and all the other stuff. And now where are we? We're going back to sugar.
Yeah, we're so a lot of the non-sugar sweeteners right now are sucralose.
Okay.
Is what they're.
Is
what
that
they're trying
Splenda
to...
or the other one?
I think it's mostly it's an unrefined or least refined plant-based.
Okay.
But I mean, like, you're taking it without the rest of what nutrients that come with it, so it can only be so good for you.
Well, that's the thing with like the vitamin supplements. From what I've never taken them, but from what I understand, like you can take the supplements, but your body can only take in like this much of them.
Yeah.
Because they're not in the same. They don't have the same delivery mechanism. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just go natural. Sugar's good for you. Carbs are good for you. All the other shit is bad for you.
Yeah, well, and it depends on the sources, too, because when you talk about, like... Oh, my goodness.
Got great timing here.
Yeah, she wants some of that sugar.
Miss.
But, like you talk about a cut of ribeye steak, got that long stream of fat there.
Mhm.
Fat was never bad for us. It was
No.
reported to be bad because cereal companies could make a lot of money using sugar, which was a lot cheaper. And if people cut out fats in their diet, they were more likely to get their bread products.
Oh, I never actually thought about it like that. Yeah, because they need more of an intake now.
Yeah, the federal government actually hired a nutritionist to scout the world for different like diets
Mhm.
and determine what the cause of rising obesity in America was.
Okay.
This guy is suspected to have been paid off because he came back with a strip of evidence from here and a strip of evidence from here and a strip of evidence from here that fat makes people fat. You know,
Okay.
fat people eat fats in these specific countries and therefore fat's bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been heavily criticized, although he was paid job done by the government in
Well, isn't
Nutritional Plan Instituted.
But isn't that like all the evidence you need?
Uh,
That he's full of shit?
yeah. So several nutritional critics who did similar studies were like, that doesn't make any sense. There are Alaskans that eat nothing but blubber,
Mhm.
and they're fit as, they're athletes up there.
Yeah.
And they, when they consider the entire picture rather than the evidences that were provided,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, it makes more sense that like refined wheats and refined sugars and stuff like that are providing things that our bodies aren't able to break down without the whole picture that they would normally come from.
Gotcha.
And so, but by the time he got criticized, the food pyramid was already out
Mm-hmm.
with don't have so many fats, focus on bread and rice and
Yeah.
soft wheat and
And then what do they do? You know, you focus on all the grains and everything, and then they poison. You know, aside from the grains not being the best in the first place, they poison all the grains with everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
just run it all down with chemicals, soften it up as much as you can so it's easier to process and cheaper to gather.
You know, I tried to buy pasta from Europe
Mm-hmm.
because apparently they don't have a gluten problem there.
Yeah, depending on the country.
Yeah, and from what I gathered, it's because there's not a gluten problem. It's a chemicals on the wheat and everything problem.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories and stuff to that. One is the genetic modifications that have gone through.
Mhm.
They're down to splicing shrimp DNA into strawberries.
See, and that's
So
crazy. But okay, as much as I don't like that stuff, because that's just crazy,
yeah,
everything we eat, even the good stuff, is genetically modified.
sure.
You know, because I always think of corn. You know the story of corn. It
Yeah.
started off some little measly thing. But yeah, I guess when you go from just gently combining things or selective breeding to
Yeah. Well,
shrimp
and,
and
there,
whatever.
and there's a difference between like selective or natural, or selective breeding or natural selection, or specifically pairing certain plants. There's a difference between that and just crisping
yeah.
DNA.
The whole all that DNA stuff, the CRISP and the mRNA and all that, feel like it's smoking all over again.
Sure.
Like we're going to find out some drastic stuff in 20, 30 years.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't have a doubt. Yeah, the mRNA stuff is especially terrifying because I'm not sure we know exactly what we're doing. We claim to know 98% of the coding in DNA,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time we only know a small percentage of what all the DNA does. We think we know everything that the coding is, but there's a whole bunch of it we just don't know.
So it's kind of like we know the coding, we know the turn it into computer terms or whatever. We know the
Sure.
code, but we don't know what that code executes.
Well, we know what the code executes, but it's like looking at a program. We understand 10% of the words, because the words are what the program does.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see the graphics of the program. We don't see the this or the that, or
Yeah, okay, I
so
gotcha.
is coding all that there is to.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like looking through a narrow lens.
Yeah.
Did you you get the vaccine?
No, I didn't go for it. My wife didn't go for it.
Really? Neither of you?
No, we chose not to.
Good job. And you're making a kid, and your kid's not gonna have those problems.
No, I'm hoping not. Yeah, I looked through all of the CDC. I looked through all of their recommendations for infant vaccinations, and they're also unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
And at least from our opinion, like several of them only apply to like wetlands and humid areas.
Okay.
And so
I never even thought about that angle.
yeah, we're not somewhere where our 0 to 24-month-old baby is ever going to be exposed to something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, and then the hepatitis one.
yeah.
Me and my buddy were talking about this earlier, and it's like, when's the last time babies were putting themselves at danger for hepatitis?
And I think it was polio.
Okay.
There hasn't been a case of polio for over 40 years.
But they'll argue it's because of the vaccines, and the second you stop doing the vaccines, polio's
Oh,
gonna
it's
be
just
everywhere.
going to come right back.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll deal with it as naturally as we can when that time comes.
Well, and that's the other thing I think about is our technology has advanced so far. So these vaccines like the polio one and whatever else that were made 60 years ago or however freaking long ago, do we still need a vaccine? Or have we fixed our drinking water or fixed whatever might be contributing
is
to
there
all this?
some other
Mm-hmm.
thing that's a good point too.
I'm lucky, man. My parents, I was born in '88, which is the year they added a whole bunch of vaccines.
Oh yeah.
But my parents, I got whatever you get when you're born right away,
Yeah.
the initial jabs and everything. But they lied the rest of my life. I've never had another one past the time I was in the hospital when I was born. And like for schools and everything, yeah, they just lied because it was pre-computer times, so you
Yeah.
could do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I know there's a million different reasons for anything, but I don't get sick. I don't have any debilitating diseases that aren't self-inflicted, because I got my back problems,
Right.
but that's different. But yeah, I think, we have strong bodies,
Your immune system's allowed to do its work.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big part of it too.
And it's not like I wouldn't be friends with someone that's gotten the vaccines or whatever, but I do worry my ass off about them.
Of course.
Yeah. Anytime they get sick or anything.
Yeah, it's not something I push on people. I never try to push my opinions on people unless I'm really, really concerned, in which case I'll bring it up, but ultimately the decision is theirs, and there's no point being nasty about it.
Mm-hmm.
If they can know my 2 cents, but it's still their decision. So
Yeah.
I respect that.
That's what America's all about, is respecting other people's freedoms.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Or what it's supposed to be all about. Yeah. So, what do you think about what's going on nowadays?
What is going on nowadays? I've not kept up on news. I'm not dead politically speaking, but I've lost a lot of interest.
Mm-hmm.
Our current president, I think there's 2 cults that revolve around him right now.
Okay.
There's the extremist like MAGA and I'm not saying all MAGA members are extremists, but the ones that are extremists, they're like fascists, like it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the extreme left wing, or whatever, liberal, whatever you call them, that they're just as bad. They're trying to push against like freedoms that everyone should have.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's these 2 massive conflicting parties, which I don't think we should even have a 2-party system, but
Yeah.
these 2 massive conflicts of opinions on what should be forced onto people, and then there's everyone in the middle who's probably not nearly as outspoken.
Not yet.
Yeah, but they're just like, hey, I think we should punish people who are taking away freedoms from others, and I want to live my life.
Yeah.
So that's
I think there should be an example. Like, we should have an example to follow.
yeah.
Like like, I think, this is my own crazy way of looking at stuff, but I think we need a guillotine in the center of the cities, and for the people that deserve it, people that did foul stuff, undeniably foul, go back to the old ways, public execution, and then anyone thinking about doing anything like that,
Bring the lynch mob back, right?
yeah, because now, like, if you're some pervert or something thinking about becoming a pervert, now you see what happens to perverts.
And now you can make some better life decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think, like, what you're saying about the two different sides, I see them both as, like, that stupid term, Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
Because it's one that hates him and one that idolizes
Yeah,
him.
like Trump isn't Satan incarnate, but at the same time he's not Jesus incarnate.
There's a lot of people that think he's Jesus.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a New York businessman who is foul seeming in his dealings, but he's also really hard in his dealings the way a New York businessman is.
Yeah.
He brings about the results, and the morality of it is probably going to be in heavy question. And are all the results great? I don't know. I haven't kept up that much.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's some great and wonderful bring us out of our gloom and despair guy, and I also don't think he's going to bring about World War III or anything either. So
I don't think he means to bring on World War III, but right now I'm kind of questionable on that. Because the way I see things is, like, I don't know enough. I'm ignorant as heck with religion, admittedly. But I feel like nowadays what's going on in the world, it's like, it kind of has the makings of a major holy war.
yeah, there's kind of a vibe like that going around, because religion, and not even religion, just like widespread personal belief is under attack right now.
Mm-hmm.
So people aren't allowed to express themselves in the ways they want. People aren't necessarily allowed to worship in the ways they want. And so there's a lot of conflict there too. Now, for that to be a world war, that conflict would have to extend outside of the United States. But right now, the only two conflicts I know of that he actually directly caused was the Venezuelan presidential swap,
Mm-hmm.
and the Iranian missile thing, which I don't know much about.
I don't like the getting involved in the world's affairs thing, and I'm not supportive of it necessarily, but I am not going to be ignorant and deny how impressive the Venezuela thing was.
That was really good, I thought.
Yeah, that was like some super duper.
Well, I mean, he was whatever his name was. The Venezuelan Maduro. He was on a high horse. He was cutting deals with China. There was an ambassador there, I guess. Is the rumor. He was cutting deals with China. He was getting ready to be, the next big underdog, and he just openly said, I'm going to smuggle illegal substances into the United States. Well, because there are accords that prevent anyone but the Western Hemisphere dealing with something like that on a Western Hemisphere scale.
You're talking like the Monroe Doctrine?
The Monroe Doctrine, yeah. Who's going to answer that direct threat to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
The United States. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, how they went in. Because what? They did all the hacking stuff, shut down the systems. They had the CIA in there already. Came in with the microwaves to kind of, about the microwave thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that I think is so impressive. Because I just, like, if you could see it, if you could visualize the microwaves, it's like these helicopters and everything coming in. And there's just this force field around them as they're moving into the city. And that's like Star Wars, dude. That's like the future right there.
Yeah, put up the shields. And...
Yeah. And they just walk in, take the guy, walk out. A couple people died.
Yeah.
Impressive. I don't support it, but impressive for sure. Yeah.
Well, and it minimized death too. The option was devastating Venezuela in an attempt to protect the United States, if that's what it came to.
Mm-hmm.
And way more innocent people would be involved in that.
For sure.
So,
I just wish the focus would stay more on the drugs in our country. Because that was like noble, if all that's true and whatever. Because we know the oil aspects and all that and the Chinese influence, so it wasn't just about drugs.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. There was definitely, we want to prevent any other first world countries from getting too ahead of the game or even getting on our level or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
There was an element of that too, I'm sure.
But I mean, I see it like I've lost a lot of friends from drugs in Jersey, tens of friends, and that should be the focus, I feel, because that's our people, that's our, and yes, on one hand you can be like, okay, well, they're junkies and they make those choices, but what they said, 100,000 people are dying a year.
Yeah.
And that's more than Vietnam War.
That's tragic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And how do you fix that? Who the hell knows? But
I mean, my stance on that is probably pretty extreme. That's where I lean more libertarian. I say, if every substance is allowed and available, then you can make a more responsible. There's nothing contrarian or cool about doing something illegal if it's not illegal.
True.
And in I think it was Taiwan, for a while, morphine was an over-the-counter drug.
Okay.
Nobody abused morphine. Because you knew what you needed, you knew how much you needed, and you didn't overstep those bounds because you were on your own if you were in trouble.
I feel like I agree with you on I think if all drugs were legal, eventually it would be okay.
There would definitely be a pretty hard plummet, and it would not be great at first. I agree.
Yeah, that's the thing. And is that going to be 5 years, 10 years?
Right. How long does that dip last? How long does that culture take to
kill itself?
To rewind, to wipe out?
Yeah.
So,
because that's like the thing with a lot of stuff is that we have these solutions, but we're already so deep into whatever the problem is,
right,
that there's going to be a crazy time period of just, this seems like a horrible idea, maybe we screwed up, and it's like, do you have the heart and the patience to wait it out and see?
Well, and it's not exactly a solution you can, like, dip your toes in either. You're either in or you're out. Canada tried. They had the like narcotic centers where you could just go and shoot up heroin if you wanted to, and that ended very poorly.
Yeah. Well, and once again, it's not too late, but the timing is the funky part. Because I don't know if you know this, so I used to be a heroin addict in Jersey.
I did not know that.
So I got clean in 2008, so 16, 17 years or something like that. And we didn't have places where you could go and get high necessarily, but you've heard of needle exchanges. There was those. And I remember I was a junkie, grew up in Jersey, but New York City was 20 minutes away. Go to the city, and you just go get hundreds of needles and just go walking down the street with shopping bags. And even at that time, like knee-deep in addiction, it's pretty rough, Right. I was like, this is ridiculous. Why am I allowed to do this? You know?
This is uncalled for.
Yeah, exactly. And I've always, even at the time, I was like, no, don't give us the tools of the trade. That's not going to help anything.
Right.
You know, because now you're like, oh, you know, it's safer, it's cleaner now.
Yeah,
And
it's not how it goes.
no. But I think leaving it up to your own devices and making your own choices, the cool factor being eliminated, you know. Why
Yeah.
does people drink? Because they're not allowed to, you know.
Yep.
Because we are dumb monkeys at the end of the day.
Yeah, we want to stand out,
Mm-hmm.
and for a lot of people, like having a cigarette when you're 16 or 17 stands out.
Mm-hmm.
It impresses someone else, and so.
Have you ever... I kind of feel like I know the answer, but
Oh,
have you
yeah,
ever had
no.
any problems or anything?
I've not struggled on that end, no. But I had friends who smoked in high school, and I hung out with them still. And,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anyone who had like drinking issues, or if they had drinking issues. But
Okay.
I don't think it would have affected anything I did or did with them in any way if I did know.
All right, so this is kind of a personal question, but do you think the reason why you never had an interest in that kind of stuff is more your upbringing or faith or...
I think there's an element to that, but I think for the most part, I've always had a little bit of pride in my own faculties, and any of this stuff I know affects that,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've never been persuaded, whether my faith has been like really good or not so good. I've never really been tempted, persuaded, whatever, to want to adjust my mental state in that way.
Nice.
Now, dealing with like mental health and having to use prescription grade drugs to help with that,
Mm-hmm.
different story. But
Do you think those... Like, my view on prescription medicines and stuff is... I mean, I guess it's a case-by-case basis and everything,
For sure.
how much you're doing and what your actual constant state of mind is.
overall, I'm against them.
Gotcha, okay. Because, yeah, I've seen, like, my mother was heavily medicated and everything, and they can cause some damage.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me. It's like, I feel like if you need it, but the goal of not needing it should be there. Whether that takes 2 years or 10 years or...
Yeah. Well, I've had to go through a few different, like, when you're meeting with psychiatrists and stuff, you're trying to find that perfect blend that keeps you medicated and prevents you from having episodes or being a danger to yourself or others, whatever the case may be. And so I've been on Prozac, and I remember everyone I talked to while I was on Prozac, almost everyone, would look at me really weird, and they'd say, you have like shark eyes.
Huh.
And it was weird because that was always the way they would describe it, is like, you have the eyes of like a shark, like they're just dead inside.
Interesting.
And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Did you feel that way at all?
Yeah, it was definitely a numbing
Okay.
agent. Like, there's you can't get like manically depressed because you can't get manic. And so,
Okay,
like,
that makes
where
perfect
your
sense.
emotion spectrum is here, Prozac brings your emotion spectrum here.
Okay.
So you can get a little sad or a little happy, but you don't get excited. You don't get mortified. You're just kind of in a state of constancy.
I'm just picturing someone in a burning building just kind of finishing their tea. You know?
Well, I mean, you still have some sense of logic to you, I would hope.
I guess you need Xanax on top of it. to
Yeah,
make that
there you
happen.
go.
Yeah, that's funny.
But since I wasn't really comfortable with that, once people gave me that feedback, I worked with and tried a few others and landed on one that was relatively new at the time. It was called Abilify.
Okay.
Or aripiprazole or something like that is the drug's name. But that one was just recently cleared as an anti-anxiety, an antidepressant, and an antipsychotic. And like mild schizophrenia was what I was dealing with.
Okay.
And so the Abilify, it brought it down just a little bit, just enough for me not to be an episode level of terrible, but to still have a little bit of joy, a little bit of excitement.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of this and that.
A little less numbing.
Mm-hmm. Ultimately, my journey with that, my journey with faith and my belief in God, it all led me to giving it up entirely and learning how to cope without it. And so I haven't been on any sort of medication for like 4 or 5 years now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I think the Serenity Prayer helps with that kind of stuff.
For sure.
I don't know much. Like I said, I'm ignorant with religion, but I think of the Serenity Prayer every single day.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's just, why not? You know?
Yeah.
Basically, just my dumbed down version is you just accept what's in front of you. Don't try to change anything, you know? And I think that's like the most powerful thing. And then, once again, not being religious per se, but I feel like from someone who knows nothing like me, the Serenity Prayer is a really good explanation of God in a sense.
Right.
You know, just trusting.
Yeah.
And I'm not, like, I've had a real deep desire to read the Bible, to read the Book of Mormon, to read the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
There's another book I don't know if I want to read, because, I don't know. I'm scared of, I hear all these things about the old deities of Judaism.
Oh, like the Torah?
Not the Torah, but like, okay, so do you know anything about, you hear these rumors that they worship Baal or something.
Oh, yeah, Baal and, yeah.
Do you know something about that? Because I don't know anything.
Basically, Baal was a Babylonian, I think it was, Babylonian god. Babylon was the great epitome of evil.
Okay.
In the Bible. They were the pagans that were constantly tempting or persecuting or enslaving the Christians at the time.
Okay.
Baal specifically was a god that promised power in return for sacrifice, blood sacrifice.
Okay.
And so, killing recently born or unborn infants or women of innocence or whatever the case was. If you could do that, you would receive powers from this god.
Interesting. So is there a connection to that and Judaism?
The Hebrews of old struggled a lot with that temptation. A lot of them came out of Egypt, and there were similar gods that had similar promises for these rites and rituals, and they had interactions with Babylon as well. I think it was at the time of Jeremiah that the Babylonians actually went and took over Jerusalem, and but anyway, that's all aside from the point. But when Moses went up onto the mountain and spoke with God in the form of a burning bush, or however the story goes, when he came down, it was weeks later or days later or whatever, and his people thought he was dead, and they thought that the Hebrew God, the monotheistic God, had forsaken them, and so they began what they knew, and what they knew was forming a new god out of a golden calf, and figuring out how to do the ritual for that. And Moses caught them in the act and was like, hello.
Okay, so that whole line of thought comes from basically ancient old beliefs that
Old
that
beliefs.
got separated.
Yeah,
at some
the
point.
old polytheistic beliefs of that area, Egypt and Babylon and stuff like that. They weren't gods of ascension, or the pharaohs could ascend, the ones that ruled, but they were gods of the world. And so you sought them out if you desperately needed a blessing of the world. If your crops needed to grow, or if you needed the power to defeat your enemies, or if you needed to bewitch someone into falling in love with you, or whatever the case was, you would seek out that god and learn from their priests or whatever what rituals you needed to perform to help you with your odds.
Gotcha.
And
So what's the thing? I'm sorry, I'm picking your brain now.
sure, yeah, no, I really love theology. I'm not always good at explaining it, and I might get some details mixed up, but I'll do my best.
So, once again, coming from complete ignorance, something about how with Christianity, what was it? There was something like, it has to do with the first and second temple, where the Al-Aqsa Mosque is nowadays, the foundation stone
Okay.
underneath it, and it's something like, I heard a tale, and it was Jesus was in the first temple, I suspect, and he was preaching something about how this temple will be destroyed. And it was not that he's gonna, or he's promoting anyone to, it's like a prophecy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then whatever, he got kicked out, and wasn't that like more or less why he got crucified?
Not for that specifically, but
Okay.
it was one of many contributing factors.
Gotcha.
He was crucified because the rabbis at the time, he was a rabbi, but he was, as far as rabbis of that time of 0 AD go, or 30 AD or whatever, he was very unorthodox.
Okay.
Because he wasn't teaching Mosaic law. He was taking Mosaic law and putting it to some new purpose. He was breaking down like the political structure of rabbis and how they interacted with or controlled the populace.
Okay.
And
So does that mean that so he was Jewish.
he was Jewish.
So because of his falling out, that's where Christianity kind of came from?
Well, it wasn't necessarily even a falling out. It was, I guess maybe you can see it that way. He at some point professed himself to be the Son of God. This was after his 40-day fast in the wilderness, where Satan tempted him from that role, or tempted him to abuse his authority as a son of God in several different ways.
Okay.
And as he began to teach, that's when his teachings shifted into parables, because he was teaching people a higher and holier way, rather than just, you can only take so many steps on Sunday because it's a holy day, or you can't heal people on Sundays because it's a holy day, or you can't eat these meats. You have to circumcise your children. This, like,
Is it kind of like God is within versus God is over there? In
right.
A sense?
So yeah, Mosaic law was all about the symbolism to get people ready to meet God.
Okay.
And what Christ taught was, you are worthy. You are capable of meeting God. You just need to continue to build that worthiness within you. You don't need a billion rules to make it happen. You just need to learn how to love God and how to love other people because God loves them. And so
Gotcha.
that didn't go well with the political structure that...
Yeah, because that's throwing everything away in a sense.
That's pretty much throwing out all the power that
Gotcha.
the rabbis held. So.
Well, and once again, from my perspective, I've never been completely atheist, but definitely believe to lessen something than I do nowadays.
Sure.
And what I'm noticing, at least in my circles, is we're all a bunch of we're a ragtag bunch. We've been through drugs and doing bad stuff and everything. And right now we're all in our late 30s and early 40s. And everyone's just talking more and more about God every single day. And on one hand, I'm like, is it the times? On the other hand, I'm like, is it our age? But I feel like it's more the times than anything.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing all this sin all around us, all over the place. And it's like, in my world, the more I do good, the more I can confidently wake up every day and know I didn't do no harm to no one. And I haven't in, X amount of time.
Right.
And I see the benefits of that. I see these gifts given to me on a daily basis, whether they're physical or just some sort of spiritual or whatever. And it makes me start being like, there's something going on out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see a specific dude that's God, but the Spirit of God. I feel like and I'm speaking for my friends, but I feel like we all feel the Spirit of God all of a sudden, which is just, in my world, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And it's just from doing right, basically, and trying not to be sinful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the traps that people in my religion, Mormons, Latter-day Saints, whatever, one of the traps that they get caught in is, in order to be good, you have to be going to church, you have to be reading your scriptures every day, you have to be praying, you have to be serving your neighbors, and all those things are great.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I think we could expedite the work of God if we just started with, you don't need to come to church next week. That's not my concern. I just want you to have a relationship with God. Find out how to speak to Him. Find out how He speaks to you. And build from that. And if those things are bringing better improvements in yourself and better relationships with people around you, keep doing those things. Mm-hmm. If they're causing direct harm, not just like bad things are happening to you, but if you feel yourself or recognize yourself being not great because of something you believed in, change your belief. Ask God where it should go.
Be aware.
Yeah. And you can, if God tells you start reading scriptures, do that.
Mm-hmm.
If God tells you pray more often, do that. But don't get caught up in the minutia of what everyone tells you have to do. Ask the Lord what you should do, and then be ready to do it.
I've always kind of, like, people that swear by church, I always thought that was kind of odd. Once again, looking from the outside, it's like, why do you have to go there in order to have that relationship? And it kind of seemed like everything you were just saying, fake isn't the right word, but, very superficial. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you shouldn't have to go to church to do that. Now, can you benefit from it and all that? Of course, but where I grew up in Jersey, I'd say there wasn't real religious people. Yes, the churches would have people in it on the weekends and whenever, but it was like going to Applebee's,
Yeah.
So to me, it was always a joke, and you just gotta want it, you gotta feel it, you gotta pay attention, and be open. And I guess, I'm on that journey right now, because I am going to read these books and find out everything. And it's like, I suspect I'm going to read the Bible and the other stuff, and I'm just going to be like, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I see it as guidelines to live a happy, prosperous, moral life.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's not about like fixing yourself up this mansion that you get to live in after you die or anything like that. It's about the joy you can feel from being a servant now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that Christ taught was be a servant, help other people, do good for other people, not just like do their dishes for them,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, actually help them to recognize the love that God has for them through you. And that is way, way different from just, hey, you need to come to church more often.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with what you just said, you got to have faith.
Yeah.
Because you can't do good unto others if you don't believe that, no matter how much we want to say we're doing it for God or for the good of the community or whatever, everything's selfish at the end of the day. And that's my terminology, but you do good onto someone, it feels good to have done that, and then seeing what they do as a result feels good, seeing them living a better life, maybe passing it forward, all this. So it's like, I feel like you got to make yourself vulnerable, and just trust that it's going to work out, and also trust that if it backfires, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And not hold a resentment against that, because I think that's one of the biggest things that kind of mess people up is you do something nice for someone, you get screwed over, and now you close that door at that point. And I think that's the toughest thing, to just ignore that. Be smart about things.
Right, of course.
Yeah, but just keep on going.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You've asked all the questions so far. Is it selfish to do good for someone because it makes you feel good? Or is it more likely that you're sharing joy with them, and then in that moment they choose to share that joy back with you? And
the
so
latter.
It's a mutually consensual, nothing selfish about it.
Mm-hmm.
But because there's a big philosophical debate about whether or not there are selfless good deeds.
Okay.
The argument goes, you can't do anything good without having a selfish reason for it. I think that's absolute bogus. I think people, especially like mothers or soldiers, they get nothing out of what they're doing. Maybe like,
I think a mother might get more than a soldier.
Yeah, maybe a paycheck if you're a soldier, or maybe I actually don't know what mothers get beyond like the joy of getting to hold their kid the 2 minutes out of the day they're happy or whatever.
Yeah.
But they definitely lose so much more than they gain from those experiences, and they do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's not, it doesn't necessarily make them feel good. If you ask a mom at the end of the day as she's trying to trudge her way into bed, do you feel good?
Yeah.
That you're getting a smacked. You're not going to get an answer.
And they might rationalize it to say they feel good, but
Sure.
yeah, it's not their first thing.
But,
Yeah, I don't know, man, because like, I do a lot of good things for people. I feel I help people out all the time. I bend over backwards. I don't have much, and I'm willing to give anything to anyone. And the reason why like I said, it's a bad choice of words, but the reason why I say selfish is because, it makes me feel good. And that's all it is to me. So, I don't know. Because the selfless thing... So I had a daughter 9 years ago, and we gave her up for adoption. And people either think I'm a piece of crap for that, or they tell me, wow, that's the most selfless thing. And in that situation, I don't see that as selfless in any way, shape, or form. That was full-on selfish.
Right.
But I don't know, that's a good question you posed there.
Definitely worth considering, I think.
Yeah. But I think ultimately we live this life, we have the opportunity through our interactions with people to impact them, no matter how friggin' tiny it is. But when someone smiles and waves at you, that's a positive thing. you know, and it's gonna set your tone, you know, change your mood for whether it's a split second or the rest of the day. Who knows?
Yeah.
I think that stuff's really important. And like, this is hippy dippy stuff, but energy, you know, like you can see when someone's in a foul mood. You can see when they're in a good mood. You can see when you can talk to them or not.
Yeah.
And I think that plays a really big factor in how, you know, because that's that awareness once again. And I bring it back to my questions on religion and everything, because that's an unseen thing. I guess you could see it a little bit, but it's your energy you're putting off. And I feel like people that, for example, try to live by the serenity prayer or those basics, you can see that in them, you know? They're not stubborn, they're not this, they're putting that trust and faith out there and keeping an open door on stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the way it was posed biblically, and well, let me start by saying I definitely believe to an extent in that energy level. Because I've felt it. Hanksville is a really great place for gossip.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen, not just in myself, but in lots of people in town, the damage that gossip does. Not just from what people hear, but the energy it produces, or whatever you call it, the spirit it produces, the energy, whatever. If someone in town is only seen as a junkie, deadbeat, good for nothing, well, that's all the energy they're getting, and so of course they're going to continue to be a deadbeat, good for nothing junkie, because no one believes in them. No one's showing them any care or recognizing their value, which everyone has.
Well, my experience with that, I don't know if you heard, but I'm a wife beater.
I think I have heard that, actually.
Yeah,
I've heard that one.
And I love that one because, you know, it's complete bullshit. You know, it was my ex who comes down to visit a couple times a year. She must want more beating, I suppose.
Must be.
But like, I was at the restaurant that's open right now in town, and the new round of that rumor going around, because this is like the third time it's going around, is stemming from that place. So we went in there to get some food, and as we're walking out, I'm just like, all right, have a nice night. They're like, yeah, you too. And I was like, I'm going to go home and beat my wife. You know? Because I'm like, you know, to each their own.
Yeah, just throw it at their face.
Yeah, because, you know, people are like, oh, you know, that's a horrible rumor, this, that, and the third. I'm like, well, it's not true.
Yeah.
You know, what am I going to do? Am I going to treat these people like crap for it? No.
Right.
You know? But that's not the case with everyone. Because I know there's people that just, they'd let that eat them up, and they're going to hold resentments against everyone, and then you get into the spirit and energy feelings and everything.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, for unfounded rumors, it's a lot easier to brush it off.
I guess so.
Yeah, my cousin would hang out with us often, and if I was working, I worked a lot, he would just go to hang out with my wife if he had a bad day or whatever the case may be. And so they would go on walks together, and sometimes those walks were at night. And so, of course, Hanksville being the way it is, the rumor came up, oh, this guy's cousin's sleeping with his wife. And so,
it sounds like Hanksville almost.
Yeah, and it was ridiculous, and we laughed it off pretty easily. But, like, what if that was, you know, an actual concern or temptation? Or what if that was something they were actually trying not to do and struggling with? But,
yeah.
Like, that could have just pushed it over the edge. And that could have done some real damage. Because no one had any foundation to saying that.
Yeah.
They just threw it out there. And then the 6 people who heard it threw it to 6 people they knew. And
that took about 3.5 minutes, probably.
Yeah. And it took a matter of 10 seconds to say something like that, but could have destroyed lives.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I have a dear friend that lives right over here, going off course a little bit, but with the way politics are and everything, you know, she's on the left of things. And all the paranoia and everything that the left was told now or at other points in time, eventually she was feeling suicidal. And that was such a wake-up moment for me. I was like, this isn't just fun and games and people gossiping and politics being politics. Like, people die over this shit.
Yeah.
And not just the killings, like suicides and stuff. And it's like, do we need to be doing that?
Yeah.
You know, there's real-world effects to rumors and gossip.
Yeah. The New Testament puts it like this. There's a verse that says, greater love hath no man than this, than he lay down his life for his friends. And I think that's beyond just jumping in front of a bullet for somebody.
Can you repeat that again slowly?
Greater love hath no man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends.
Okay, dumb that down for me.
So, obviously, you know, you can take it literally, which is if you die for someone, you love them.
Mm-hmm.
But laying down your life for someone, we're talking about, you want to talk about like what mothers and soldiers do. They lay down their lives. They have these goals, these, you know, inner workings, the things they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Throw that all aside and make sacrifice for people. Charity, which we refer to as like the pure love of Christ, is more than just giving up your money every month or paycheck or whatever. It actually comes down to being friends with people, whether you see eye to eye or not,
Mm-hmm.
and being willing to set your life aside. Within practicality, you can't give up on your family to help some guy.
Yeah.
But being willing to set aside your life, whatever that may be, you know, your time getting to relax that you get 1 hour of or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Set that aside and actually be a friend for them rather than being a friend with them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more power to that when it comes to love than just liking someone a lot.
Mm-hmm. And that's like my experience with that. My mom, you know, she lived here in 2020, I think. And the short of that is my siblings just didn't want to deal with her anymore.
Yeah.
And they both have normal lives, you know, I'm kind of weird. But they have jobs and careers and houses and all that. And the short of it is they didn't want her, so it was up to me to do something about it. And I took her in, lived in a normal house for a year with her and everything, and completely my whole entire life was 100% backwards for that year. You know, I was in walls and I was like a crazy person. I needed a straitjacket. I was like, what are these walls and stuff? You know, and then dealing with your mother, you know, we all have moms. We know how they can get to be eventually. And, you know, it was like, it was one of the most beautiful things ever, because I did it because it felt like I should do that. She's my mom. So I didn't really question it, even though I was very kind of disappointed that this is what my future is going to be for now. But when it was all said and done, she told me she hasn't felt so relaxed and calm since she was 14 years old.
Wow.
And that moment when she said that was the moment I was like, worked out.
Yep, all worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And like you said, no money. Well, yeah, I guess there was money involved, but it wasn't about money. And it's that little stuff, building the relationships and all that. And I remember in that moment, like, I felt the power of something bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just feel like, I don't know, people can get so caught up in their lives and their distractions that it's like, I'm not going to say they don't care, but they avoid looking in that direction, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have so much, well, most people have so much responsibility as it is that the idea of new responsibility can seem crushing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you said, you got to show a little bit of vulnerability, a little bit of trust, faith, whatever you call it. You're gonna have to
have faith in yourself, too.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to believe that you can help them,
mm-hmm.
and and B, you'll get your peaceful moment. If it's not in front of the TV, maybe it'll be lifting someone up.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe that's better.
I think it's better.
I think it's better.
Yeah. I think it's the best thing on earth. I mean, it's this age-old BS thing. You can't take your belongings to the grave, so, you know, the relationships, the impacts you've had, the impacts that you've made yourself open to receiving, you know? Like, I think that's a big thing, you know, just kind of, it's the message, not the messenger thing, you know, because I talk to a lot of people that are very questionable people, you know, and it's like, I don't belittle what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know? Am I gonna, you know, act like it's their Bible, what they're saying? Like they stand up for what they're saying? No, you know, but what they're saying, you know, you could get a lot out of anyone, really. And once again, this is ignorance, but was it Jesus or Moses that walked the desert?
Both.
Both?
So Moses led an entire nation of people through the desert.
Okay.
And Christ sort of exiled himself on a personal pilgrimage as he took some time to pray about and discover his role as the Messiah.
And did he met people along the way?
No.
No?
Not, well, I mean, he met Satan, I guess.
No,
but
okay.
not the same.
That might be bad company.
Yeah. I could think of better ways to spend your day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the crux of Christianity, the reason anybody who is a Christian claims to be one, is because they believe that the Christ, the Son of God, that he felt all the struggles that people have felt, and that by dying for them and becoming resurrected, he actually made it possible for us to become better than that, to become better than we are. And so we profess love for Jesus just because it's he gave us that gift. It's given to everyone freely, whether we want it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has the opportunity to grow and be better than they are, and that's what people call grace. It's an undeserved love.
Okay.
And so people who profess the name of Jesus, they do it because they want to reciprocate that as much as they can. They can never measure up to it, but they can share it. They can spread that love to people around them. Not everyone's great at it.
Yeah.
And there are some people that say they're Christians and probably haven't figured that out.
Yeah. Well, we're all wherever the hell we are on it.
Everyone's up and down. For sure. And so, it's, yeah, that idea of grace is something Hanksville could definitely use more of, I think. That idea that we can show love to people who probably don't deserve it, just based on what we've heard. And, yeah, we could be awesome.
Well, it's that thing, like, my biggest dream is my nemesis in town, the one that runs everything. I just want to break bread.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. And I've been trying to do it forever. And, you know, and it's like, we know, talking to someone, that's all it friggin' takes. You just gotta talk, you don't gotta agree, you don't got none of this, but understand who you're dealing with.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's a valuable thing, because the power of community, you know, like my community around me that I built around me, count on them for anything under the sun.
Yep.
You know, my friends will move mountains for me, I'll move mountains for them, you know, and it's like, that's such a beautiful thing. And it makes life so incredibly easy, in that respect at least. And yeah, if town and people in general could just get on board with that, like, it takes so much less effort to just be understanding of each other than it does to not be.
Yeah. And community isn't just a collection of people. It's people who each know a person. A community is made up of a person who knows another person, who knows another person. And the LDS Church has actually updated its policy on, like, there used to be like a visiting teaching program where people would be assigned like 3 or 4 families that they would go and visit with, and have a small like gospel lesson with, and
With who?
Just whoever was assigned to them by the.
Would it be other church people, or
it was supposed to be everyone.
okay?
Yeah, whether they were in church, not going to church, or not part of the church.
Okay.
And a lot of people weren't great at it, and even the people who did it every month like they were supposed to, it was just kind of a, oh hey, you're back again. Let's hear your lesson. Thanks for stopping by. And the program was recently updated. It's like, okay, there's no more numbers. This is no longer like a monthly requirement. You don't have to report it back or anything. You'll still be assigned people, but your assignment's not to just go and give a lesson every month. Your assignment's to go and be their friend.
Okay.
And so that definitely had the feeling of God's hand.
Yeah.
And, like, we're not being asked to just tell people a lesson they can mull over and decide for themselves.
You're being told to show them.
Show them that God loves them, that they're worth something, that they can amount to so much.
Well, isn't that the whole point of God in the first place?
That's the whole point,
Mm-hmm.
is amount to more than you are.
This is kind of similar, but I was talking about it recently. Like, what would connect, 100 years ago, or before people traveled as much? What would connect this community to that community? Maybe they don't know each other, nothing, but they've heard of each other. What's the common ground, especially back in the day? The common ground was God, whatever the God was, but it was God. So they didn't need to know these people to have a certain level of connection with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, if they knew that they knew God,
Yeah.
that they at least to some extent they could trust that they knew what their intentions were and that what they believed, and like you said, it was that common ground.
Well, maybe I'm sure it is a reason why we have all these problems nowadays, because there's no unity we don't have that unity. The religion is not a big population, and then you get into all the social stuff and everything. Like, we can't just look at someone and be like, okay, good chance we have this in common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's that, and then there's also all of these little factors that have added up. Like, people no longer meditate or pray or whatever you call it.
Mm-hmm.
People no longer communicate. People no longer serve one another. Everything's come down to, getting a serotonin hit every 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And getting all of your information from your favorite guy on YouTube or girl or whatever.
Yeah.
Everything just comes down to all these little things that have added up into this. Nobody knows how to be friends.
Well, it's like everyone's fending for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody dates the way that they used to.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking about that at work. The kids these days, on their dates, both of them are right here.
That's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, they go and they grab dinner together and they're just on their phones.
I'm happy in my weird little world. No one talks about it, but no one's on the phone around anyone.
No.
Golden rule, if you're there to be there.
Be present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had my buddy from Jersey here. He was going through a whole breaking up a 16-year marriage, lost his job, lost his car, so life just went down the shits. I had patience with him because I understand he's coming from somewhere else, but oh my god, he was just on his phone, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, just scrolling. I'm like, you know how bad that is for you?
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful insight because he was like, well, it really helps me with my problems right now. You know, it keeps me out of my head. And I said to him, I was like, well, that's the last thing you need.
Yeah, you need to be more in your head.
Yeah, and he looked at me like I'm crazy, and fast forward a day or something, I had a friend over, same thing, and my buddy says the same exact thing. He's like, sounds like you gotta spend more time in your head, dude. And I saw my friend, he was like, oh shit, second person said that, you know, you saw his little wheels turning.
Yeah.
He went back to his phone, but...
just to make the statement.
Yeah, you know, but that's like, you know, we forget like natural... I don't know what the right chemicals are, but just for argument's sake, when you have sex, you release endorphins, you know, or serotonin or whatever. The quality of that, if you're like one of these people that, you know, sex is almost an addiction or something, you're going for the same thing as scrolling at that point. You're just trying to get your hit of serotonin or endorphins. But when you spend a bunch of time in nature or something you thoroughly enjoy that's not man-made necessarily, you're getting a constant feed of those endorphins and serotonin. And now, going back to the romance and sex and stuff, it's more of a legitimate, love-filled thing instead of just a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, kids on their phones, or even adults on their phones at this point, just people on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
They're scrolling. Every post or video or whatever is a 20-second, like, boom, satisfied, move on, boom,
and that
satisfied.
Anticipation in between each one to see what it
builds
is.
it up and
ready to either stay or...
But the problem with that is it's not that you're overloading your head with information, but you're refusing to process any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that most people can handle a lot of information coming their way, but I don't think we have as much of an ADHD problem as I think we do in the country. I think what we have is a problem with people who don't let themselves be with their own thoughts, let their minds naturally process thoughts, and control those thoughts as needed. I think people don't really understand how to do that anymore. They don't have any sense of mental discipline because they're just getting as much stimulus and satisfaction in a short amount of time as they can.
It's kind of like, I don't know, I see it like taking a pill that has all your nutrients for the day, taking that instead of eating actual food. Like you're just trying to get the effect. You're skipping all the...
Yeah. You're skipping the everything else that can be involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so
quality over quantity.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're just getting the little refined bits that don't do you any good without the rest of the nutrients.
The drug context, you're getting just a snort. You're just
getting the snort.
You know, that's what I call it when I see people swiping away. I was like, "Ooh, was that a good line you did right there?" And they're like, "Shut up, dude."
That's a good one.
But it seems the same from an external point of view. It's like, yeah, you see them light up, go back down, and they're just chasing that dragon constantly. Yeah. And I think like anxiety is another one.
Yeah.
I don't really believe in anxiety. Not that, but anxiety as a
condition rather than a self-made, like...
To me, this is so a dumbed down definition of anxiety, but anxiety is when you're doing something you don't want to be doing. It's not always like that.
Sure.
You know, but these people in the cities or in different environments, like, they're super anxious when they're at work or when they're at a bar, but when they're playing with Legos or whatever their kink is, they have no anxiety.
Yeah.
And I think that's all it comes down to. Like, when you don't want to be doing something, your body tells you.
Yeah. I think there might be a little more to it, but it's definitely less complicated than people make it out to be. Everyone's like, oh, it's this unfixable genetic thing that I suffer. And I think there may be some truth to anxiety being passed down, but I don't think that's unfixable. I think that if you exercise your mind, which is, if you're getting thoughts that you don't want, just practice a different train of thought. The other way I heard it was anxiety is when you're making up conspiracies about your life.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, if you're being anxious because you don't get enough time in the day, or you're anxious because people don't like you, or whatever the case, but you're just making up conspiracies. You don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
You're just making
Being
huge
delusional.
assumptions, and you're just clinging to them.
Yeah.
You don't let the thought come and go like it's supposed to. You don't say, oh well, actually, I don't know anything. I don't know whether that person likes me or not. I'm just kind of running off of that one moment that I had with them.
Yup.
Whether it's true or not.
Well, my experience with that, and this might sound crazy to you, but the thing that helped me work on that kind of shit in my life, psychedelics. Because if you ever do psychedelics, if someone does psychedelics, your mind becomes very vulnerable in a sense.
Yeah.
And you can run away with things.
Yep.
And mind you, you're in an altered state of mind and everything, so you can run away to a very, very dark place.
Yeah.
And end up somewhere horrible.
Get that bad trip.
Yeah, so it's like, that's a path for some people to learn how to control that, recognize that bad path, avoid it or confront it, whatever you have to do. And then you learn to translate that into life right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the exaggerated version of dealing with that, doing it on steroids in a sense.
I'm not sure that's something I would agree is the best route to go.
No, it's definitely not the best route. No,
I think
not in any way, shape, or form.
There's plenty of anxiety in the world.
Yeah.
But there are people who suffer with like PTSD or stuff like that, where it's more than just anxiety. Their heads are cramming memories like into the present, and it's disillusioning them. They've actually come to find that having small doses of psychedelics can help reset that and help them actually control whether that memory continues to afflict them or not. And so I'm not opposed to it as far as like a practice, a carefully measured practice, like all drugs are. But would I take 5/8 just to practice my mental fortitude?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I think that type of thing's for people that have, like the example you just used, like if you have some demons inside that, or whatever you want to call them, you have some problems inside that you're at the end of the road, you got no other options, nothing's working. I think it's good for quote unquote emergency things, but for someone that just has basic problems, no, they shouldn't be going down
For sure.
the psychedelic kind of road and all that, because it's a powerful thing. And not everyone needs that. It's just like, not everyone needs to make a million mistakes in their life. Some people are smart.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them.
I'm not there.
Yeah, But like I sit there and I tell people, like when I'm telling, more deep stuff about my life, I'm like, well, this is how I learned this. And it comes with some crazy, horrible story that taught me that lesson. I'm like, but if you're not an idiot, you can learn this, when you're a kid, because you listened to your parents and you trusted your parents and your parents were good parents. It's to each their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the greatest enemy to the value that things like that have is like dependency. Not knowing or not seeking to recognize when you need it or when you don't, but looking for excuses And that goes well beyond just like substances. That goes to relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hear all about people like husbands or wives that put their parents before their spouse.
Okay.
One thing that's really common is that a couple who's recently married, they have their first or second or fifth fight, and husband goes running off to his parents to ask for advice. What do I do? How do I fix it?
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not him fixing it anymore. That's someone else fixing it for him at some point, right?
Yeah.
And so it's no longer his marriage. It's the marriage between his wife and his parents' advice.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that wrecks marriages.
I think the biggest thing that wrecks relationships is a lack of trust.
Yeah.
And a lack of giving your partner a reason to trust you.
Well, and that's the reason for it, right? Is he doesn't trust himself to figure it out, to problem solve it, to to work it out, or he doesn't trust her to talk it out, to communicate it, to be willing to fight through it or talk through it, whatever it takes. He doesn't trust those things. He puts his trust in his parents before himself or his wife, and that's where problems.
Do you you can answer this however the heck you want, but do you have you had much quarrels in your relationship?
Yeah, we've had fights.
Yeah.
It's never been anything major. I'm not a wife beater, and
Good.
she doesn't beat me either, for the record.
Oh yeah, it's 2025.
Yeah.
Is it
2026?
Yeah, see, I was gonna say 2024.
Anyone can be anything now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've run into problems. You know, I've violated trust in ways here or there that have made us have to bring it back and go back to, you know, okay, well, you violated trust. You're going to have to work back into that level of trust, because when you trust someone, it's not just 1 or 0. There's several different ways you can trust someone. So if I violate Caitlin's trust in one way, she doesn't just give up on me.
Yeah.
Although, you know, she has to work through some worries and anxieties in the meantime. And it's, you know, everyone has that. But she says, okay, you know, you be a good husband in all the other areas that you have been, and in this area, we're going to have some boundaries, and until you've proven that you can get there again.
Yeah.
And so, and the same in reverse, you know, she's done things that I don't necessarily approve of, and I'm like, you know, time to set some boundaries.
But that's beautiful, because you're still showing trust through the trust issue.
Yeah.
When
we were dating, one of the number one rules we set for each other was don't go to our parents or anybody else that we trust for a problem that we haven't worked through, because we're the ones that need to work through it. We're responsible for that problem between each other. And if I go to my mommy for a problem that I'm having with Caitlin, then it becomes my mommy's problem with Caitlin and Caitlin's problem with both of us. And I create that rift rather than actually just stepping through it to repair it myself.
Yeah. Saying mommy definitely makes it more understandable, right?
Sure, yeah. It definitely it's definitely conflated language, but the principle stands.
Yeah, for sure. So, what do you think raising, you know, the kid you got coming up? What
are some of the consensus?
Well, what do you what's like the most important things that you want to raise your kid with?
So, that's a good question. I've thought about that a lot. I want to raise them to be
Them day.
Them, they, her. Well, we're hoping to have more than just one.
Nice.
You
Okay.
know, eventually, but for her starting out, I want her to know responsibility and discipline and independence. I want her to understand what liberty means. It's not just that you get to do whatever you want, but that you welcome the consequences of everything you do. I want her to know theology, not just my religion, but I want her to know of many religions and be able to make that decision for herself, what her relationship with a higher power looks like. I want her to know sciences. I want her to know critical thinking, how to hear an opinion from someone and work it through herself rather than just parroting it to the next person she sees. Because I don't want her ideals to shift based on her favorite YouTuber or whatever guy she has the hots for at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, I want her to have her own understanding of the world, not just ideologies, but experienced understandings of how things work, why she does things, why she doesn't do other things. I want her to be hardworking. I don't think that necessarily means she goes into like a career or anything. If she wants to become a stay-at-home mom, I want her to have that option by choosing the right guy, and knowing how to. If she wants to go into a career and do that, then I want her to do that.
Do you think it's up to you to make sure she chooses the right guy by setting a good example and everything?
I think that's going to play a big part in it. Ultimately, you know, that responsibility is hers.
Yeah.
But
I think setting that example is of utmost important.
But being an influence and example is my responsibility. So, is she going to favor a hardworking guy if her dad is a deadbeat? Probably not. I don't know. But it's definitely, you know, I want to stack if life is a deck of cards, I want to stack as many cards in her favor as I can.
Hell yeah.
And so,
nice.
just give her every advantage so that she can be the best influence on the world if that's what she wants to be.
I like that you have no mention of rich.
No,
career.
Well, I mean, money is just a measure of for most people, money is just a measure of what we do, how hard we work, and it's become an unreliable measurement tool at that point.
Yeah.
Too. So, but yeah, whether or not she becomes rich should be up to her.
Yeah.
If that's how she wants to like measure her success, you know, that sucks, but it's
yeah.
she'll have that option if I do it right, I think.
You sound like you're gonna be a good dad, dude.
Oh shucks. I hope so.
Yeah. What you want, you know, everything you just listed is just what you said. You want to give her the best chances possible.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
What about Will? Where's Will 5, 10, 20 years from now?
Shit. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? I'm at such a convoluted point in my life where anything's possible. I mean, I want to build a community here, but at the same time, I want to be there for my daughter who's, you know, being raised by other people, but we have an open adoption thing.
Yeah.
But we don't keep in touch, me and the mom, we don't keep in touch as much as we should because we're not, our daughter lives in Texas. So from my point of view, until I know I can be consistent, I'm very hesitant to get involved. But at this point in time, that's not an excuse anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like I do know that if I show up once, I will keep showing up. and that's not going to be every month. It's going to be twice a year, 3 times a year or something.
Sure.
But I want that, and I do think more about children. And if I was to find a woman that I'm happy with, that I think is a good woman and everything, sooner than later, I probably would. It's such a crazy thing to say, but yeah, I probably would go ahead and start a family, because, I'm almost 40, so time's running out if I'm going to do that. But I have more faith in myself now than I did 9 years ago. And I think that's the big thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Going forward, I value my relationships more than anything, more than ever before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely vital. It's interesting you bring up the consistency thing. That's something I've been thinking about lately, because one of the things my wife is struggling with, she likes to read the Word of God daily if she can.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been struggling a lot with it. And she says, my problem, I think, is that I expect that studying the Word of God means it has to be in front of me with a pen and paper in hand, and I have to learn something.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I think you need to break down that expectation of yourself, and just do what you know is good. If you want a pen and paper, that's great. If not, don't worry about that. If you don't learn something, that's okay, because you made a promise to yourself and you kept it. And that's what character is. It's not that you got anything out of it, it's that you kept the promise to yourself.
Yeah, I see that. You ever hear of Narcotics Anonymous?
I've heard of it.
Like AA too. So they got a book. It's not right here, but it's just for today. And typically, it's 50% of the time it's some quote from some ex-addict, and the other 50% of the time it's from the Bible. And wherever that book is, it's in my desk back there. But whenever I'm just feeling a little weird in some way, I open that sucker up. It has a date for every day of the year. So you pick it up, open to that date. And to me, I know it's kind of all in my head, but it always applies perfectly. And I think, that's the thing. Like, once again, I'm not super religious, but just seeing that little bit right there, it's just kind of like, it's that faith again, I guess, And not, I don't know. I never studied anything, but I think consistency can show up however you want, Like you were saying, it's what's inside about it. It doesn't matter how necessarily you're going about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I've learned from a friend of mine is inherently we're all creators. Our nature is to create, to grow, expand our sphere, however that looks.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you make and keep a promise to yourself, especially a consistent or a daily or weekly one,
mm-hmm.
that builds that confidence in yourself. That builds your capability. That builds your potential. And when you fall through, or with every excuse that you make, or whatever the case is, you're damaging that confidence, that character, that potential.
Mm-hmm.
And so you actually just prophesy your own future by the promises that you make. And can you get around that by not making promises to yourself? Sure. That's an option.
It's a weird
but you
option.
you also won't grow.
Yeah.
You also won't experience, you won't learn.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I mean, this is just a silly slang version of that, but kind of fake it till you make it, in a sense.
Yeah.
Like if you tell yourself and you work towards it every single day, eventually you're gonna be on the right path no matter what. Who knows if you're ever gonna get whatever you're trying to get, but
well, I think fake it till you make it is such a damaging way to put it.
I know, I'm really bad with that.
But because what's actually happening is you're trying to live up to something you hope to be.
Yeah.
There's nothing dishonest about that.
Yeah.
What's dishonest is when you stop living up to that. That's when you're lying to yourself, is when you're beating yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're actually, if I feel like crap, but I want to be an optimistic person,
Mm-hmm.
and I say, oh, I'm loving life, and I don't necessarily think that's dishonest if I want to love my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you grow your mind. That's how you get that discipline. That's how you become a person who can control their destiny.
The pursuit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because that's another thing I think is you gotta stay active. You gotta be pursuing, whether it's your relationship with God, happiness, like you said, liberty, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not life, liberty, and happiness.
Yeah.
Two very different things.
For sure.
Yeah. It's cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how long these things typically
No, we're
go.
good, man. We're good. I like it because, had no idea what we would talk about, and it's just good talking.
Yeah, just go with the flow and
Yeah.
enjoy what comes up. And
I like hearing how you're going to raise your kid, dude.
oh, thanks.
I really do. And I think kids, like we all know, they're the future.
Yeah.
They're the future, and it's up to us to do the right thing. And if we want the world to be better than it is now, that's the ultimate way to contribute to that.
Yeah.
And you caring about it, instead of just these people that have kids and they're pets.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not the same at all. Yeah, I've always had a level of respect for you. That's definitely grown a lot today.
For who?
For you.
Oh.
Me for you. My respect for you has grown. I've always seen you around. I've never talked to you much. I've never listened too much to what you've had to say, but I'm honestly impressed by you. I think
Thank you.
I think you're doing your best, and from what you've said, you're really working hard to live up to something more.
I try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to look like you said. It doesn't have to look like the mansion or the riches or anything like that. If you're trying to make a positive impact on each person you come across, that's what matters.
I'm just an ant. And I'm like, because same with you.
Yeah.
That's all we got at the end of well, not all, but that's the impact we have. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, you're an ant with value, as far as I'm concerned.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for having me by.
Yeah.